Well, good morning, Miami. Oh my goodness, that's not a Miami crowd. Okay, well, we're going to change all of that. I just want to come right out, Martine, and put it all out there. It's such a thrill and an honor for me to be here with you and to welcome you back to the Emerge main stage almost 10 years after your first appearance.
Thank you so much. I'm so super happy to be here. The Emerge Miami conference I went to several years ago, it kind of lives in my mind. I can replay parts of it. It had an impact on our company, on my career, on friendships. So I'm just so honored to be back here again.
So I remember Emerge's early years, and I've seen its evolution and its growth. And in full disclosure, I'm a lifelong Miamian. You may hurt me, but you're not. I'd love to know, what do you think of Emerge now?
It's grown bigger and better than ever. I give so much praise to Manny, Melissa, and the entire team, how they had this idea that Miami could be the epicenter of technology, and especially leveraging its unique advantage point at the very fulcrum of the whole Western Hemisphere. And that was like a vision, like a technology entrepreneur's vision 10 years ago. And now look what Miami is. It is the center of the world.
So I think if you dream it and you work hard at it, you can achieve it. And that's what this conversation is going to be about. But trailblazers such as you have played a critical role in the growth of Emerge. So thank you again for being here.
My pleasure.
So let's take a deep dive. I really want to learn more about Martine, the person. I mean, you are a Renaissance woman, honestly. You're an attorney, you're an entrepreneur, you're an author, you're a futurist. The list of awards and accolades go on, and they celebrate your contributions in very distinct and diverse areas, right? Satellite communications, biotechnology, and organ transplantation, and even aviation. So you're the founder of what we know today as Sirius, and you're also the founder and chairman of United Therapeutics. Tell me about your why. What made you go from satellite communications to biotech and health sciences?
So I didn't really want to. I'm very happy in space and aerospace. But we have 4 children, and our youngest daughter was diagnosed with a rare fatal illness called pulmonary arterial hypertension. I was certain that there must be some medicines available, but there weren't, none. And she ended up at Children's National Medical Center, which is like the best children's hospital in the country. And they said that this is a rare and mysterious disease. There's no drugs even in development because there's not enough of a business justification to create one for a rare disease. And we are going to introduce you to our transplant department because the only cure for this disease is a lung transplant. But as a heads up, it's very hard to get a lung transplant. And once you get one, your body gradually rejects it. So you're kind of trading one disease for another. And I was devastated. I thought that perhaps if I donated some money that I had earned from taking SiriusXM public and stuff, that maybe some doctors could come up with a cure. So we did donate a lot of money, but the doctor said, first they said it'd be 3 years and be 5 years. And our daughter, she was fainting all the time, collapsing, couldn't go to school. So I finally had an epiphany. And I said the only way that our daughter, whose name is Genesis, is going to be saved is if I just obsessively figure out a way to save her. If I drop everything that's my true life's love, which is aerospace and satellite communication, and I just focus like a laser on learning medicine and biotechnology. By the way, I never took a biology class after high school, so I didn't know anything. But that's what I did. I worked day and night. I didn't care about sleeping. And finally, we were able to find a medicine that could slow the progression of her disease. And I'm very happy to share with you and everybody that amazingly enough, she is now considered the longest living person in the world with pulmonary hypertension. We just gave a humongous blowout party for her 40th birthday.
And the color was?
And the color was, I think, to be really precise, I would say sunflower. I could say yellow, but like sunflower. And everybody wore it. It was an amazing celebration of life, but also of biotechnology. This was something that took hundreds of people to do. And frankly, this disease, which afflicts, when she was diagnosed, it only afflicted 1,000 people. And hence the big pharmaceutical companies didn't want to do anything for it. Right. Thanks to our medicine, we've gone from 1,000 people dying with pulmonary hypertension to 50,000 people living with pulmonary hypertension.
That's just incredible. It's amazing. You know what I love the most about the work that you get to do every single day is the impact, because it's measured in saving people's lives and making their lives better. So thank you and the team at United Therapeutics. But besides the actual drug to treat PAH, right, which you found and you marketed, and that's why so many people are now living with this rare disease, you also came to the conclusion that you needed to address a crisis, right, the organ shortage crisis. Can you walk us through that pivotal moment that led you to that conclusion?
Sure. So from the very beginning, they told us that our daughter's only cure was an organ transplant, but that when you get a transplant, it's a blessing, it's a miracle, somebody's life is saved, but then their body begins to slowly reject it. Mm-hmm. And another sad thing about organ transplants is in every case, when there is a decedent donor, somebody who has unfortunately passed but wanted their organs to be transplanted, in all of those cases, somebody has to die for somebody else to live. And it seemed to me like an unfair situation. So taking kind of my, satellite communications, tech entrepreneur mind, I said to myself, the body has these billions and billions of cells that know how to create every organ in your body. Why can't we figure out a way to create additional organs without human bodies and create an unlimited supply of organs so nobody ever has to die on an organ wait list?
I got chills. It's really amazing. I've heard you say, I've read a lot about you in the last couple of weeks and months, so I'm a little obsessed now with Martine
Rothblatt. Oh, thank you.
Rothblatt. But one of my favorite quotes, Martine, is, persistence is omnipotence.
That's one of my favorite quotes, too.
If you don't give up, you don't fail.
Exactly.
I believe, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that this would be like your personal life philosophy.
Maria, you know me so well already. You really do. And when I'm walking around our laboratories and I'm looking into the eyes of, a typical employee in our companies, like some, 30 plus, thereabouts, they have a life science degree from a college or a university somewhere. And
Northeastern, I'm sure.
Thank you for everything you do to graduate them. And they're just jazzed and excited about what they're able to make these cells do. We turn patient cells back into stem cells. Mm-hmm. Then after we turn them into stem cells, over a period of 3 months, we grow them to billions of stem cells. They form these little clumps, but they're the DNA of the patient. Then we put these clumps of stem cells in vials, little vials like this that are filled with a liquid that we call media. And based on the exact mixture of chemicals that you put in this media, those stem cells will turn into kidney cells, liver cells, lung cells, heart cells. And so I walk around and I look into our researchers' eyes and I said, how did you do this? And they said, honestly, Martine, the first 5 times I tried, it failed. The second 5 times I tried, I got a few good cells, but mostly bad cells. But I remember what you always say, which is persistence is omnipotence. And now, after 100 times, we are all powerful because we're able to make an unlimited supply of cells for this patient to have a kidney that matches their own DNA, and they'll never need any immunosuppression.
I mean, that's amazing, but how many Miamians are here in this audience today? Don't you think that sounds like us, our ethos? We don't give up, grit, determination, persistence, and we get it done. And that's why I love that quote. That's now my favorite quote.
It's also like with me, like in aviation, if you think of like how long it took people to figure out how to make a helicopter fly. And you know, the first helicopter didn't fly until 30 years after the first plane. And even Wilbur and Orville Wright thought a helicopter was impossible. But all of these brilliant entrepreneurs, they tried, persistence, and now we have helicopters saving people from burning buildings, from drowning in the ocean, bringing our organs to the hospitals to be transplanted by patients. So one of the reasons I'm so jazzed being a pilot and I keep trying to develop new advances in aviation is I think aviation is one of the best examples of persistence as omnipotence. How many times in history did people say, if man was meant to fly, he'd have wings?
Right.
But we humans didn't give up, and it wasn't just men. Catherine Wright, who's the sister of Wilbur and Orville, she was essential, equal to the contribution of, if not even more, than her 2 brothers. So we never gave up. And now we have 1 billion people in the world flying every single year.
I think that's the best tip for all the entrepreneurs and founders that are here at Emerge this week. Persistence is omnipotence.
But persistence is omnipotence. Be ready to crash through a wall. Don't let anybody say you can't do something. Always remember, if you can't remember the whole quote, just remember the word impossible. If somebody tells you your plan is impossible, your business is impossible, your idea is impossible, and just imagine like an axe slashing between the M and the P, so it says, I'm possible.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Let's talk about United Therapeutics a little bit and pivot to that. You founded this company almost 30 years ago, and today the market cap is about 14 billion with a B. It's also a public benefit company, which means it's a mission-driven organization. How do you balance the business side of innovation and the reporting every quarter of the your financial results with the urgency of solving medical challenges for humankind?
Maria, that's such a great question, and what makes, I think, my job as CEO so exciting. So it was the law of the United States for 200 years that any corporation that was incorporated, and most of them are incorporated in Delaware, most publicly traded companies are incorporated in Delaware, they must operate solely for the best interests of their shareholders. That's like the law. And so every time a company wanted to buy another company, and even if in buying them they were going to strip out all of the R&D and just milk them for their profits, the target company would go to Delaware and say, judges, block this hostile acquisition. And the judges would say, I'd like to save the jobs here, but Delaware law is Delaware law. The shareholders only care about one thing, the highest price per share. This hostile acquirer is offering 50% above your share price. We have to order that you sell your company to the hostile acquirer. So this actually, the judges in Delaware and the legislators, they're good people, and it made them feel bad, okay? And so they got the Delaware legislature 7 years ago to write a new law. It says, if you want, you can incorporate in Delaware as what's called a public benefit company. And a public benefit is a company that nothing is more important than the shareholders' interest. So it's nothing is more important than shareholders' interest, but there can be a public benefit which is equal to the shareholders' interest. And in our case, the public benefit that is equal to the shareholders' interest is to create an unlimited supply of transplantable organs so nobody ever has to die on a transplant wait list. So we applied to Delaware. They said, well, United Therapeutics, you've already been publicly traded for 20 years. You're going to have to get a majority vote of BlackRock and Fidelity and Wellington and all these, big funds that are our shareholders, not to mention thousands of individuals. So we sent out a mailing to all of the big shareholders, from the biggest in the country like BlackRock to individuals, and we said, we are going to run this company the same way we always have, but now in case somebody tried to take us over, they would have to demonstrate that they could do as much as we are to creating an unlimited supply of transplantable organs and not just milk the company for the profits and zero out all the R&D. We got 97% of the shareholder votes. Wow. Again, Blackstone, BlackRock, Fidelity, all these huge funds, they all voted in favor of it because they said the way you make the most money and you have the most successful company is to do the best thing for the people, for the market.
I mean, 97%, you have to be so proud of that number. I'm quite certain that's unprecedented.
You know what really amazes me? I read the other day that another company that's been in the news, since we're talking about AI and stuff like that, that had some concern about what might happen after going public and whatnot.
I'm one of those, by the way. I'm very concerned.
Yep. But so OpenAI, it's in the news. I read that they are exploring now reincorporating as a public benefit company. Oh. So that kind of makes me very happy that if somebody that's doing so much to make a more amazing, better world for everybody also sees that this United Therapeutics pathway has been beneficent, floats my boat.
I think you're starting a trend, and I think that's a good one. That's really powerful, proof point of doing good while doing well.
Yes.
And I've read your annual reports, and I know you're very committed to governance and corporate responsibility to your shareholders and to the public good. So
you can
congratulations.
do both. It was like some president said you have to be able to chew gum and walk at the same time. It's like the same thing.
Very true. Okay, well, can you point to a current research project or something, an innovation at United Therapeutics that has you really jazzed?
I think one of our greatest things going on right now is in a laboratory that we have in Silver Spring, Maryland, called our Computational Laboratory for In Silico Molecular Biology. So the acronym spells the word CLIMB. And in medicine, if something is going on inside of the body of a person or even an animal model, it's called in vivo, the Latin for inside the body. If you're doing an experiment that's just on the top of a laboratory bench, like in a test tube or a petri dish, something like this, it's called in vitro, INVITRO. But there is about to be a revolution in medicine of a whole new way to do biology, which is called in silico, meaning you do the entire development of the medicine and coming up with a cure all within a computer system, in silico. So molecular biology is, I believe, just a totally awesome field. That's the universe of each of our cells. We have trillions of cells in our body, and 9 out of 10 of them actually aren't even our DNA, they're bacterial DNA. So molecular biology is amazing, but what's possible now due to AI and computational biology is you can create a digital twin of a cell inside a computer system. And that means that instead of doing an experiment of taking a dropper and putting a few drops of a cell in a petri dish and then giving it some little molecules to see if that cell does what you want to do, like stop being cancerous, right, you can now do that millions of times in the same time frame that you would do one single experiment, because you could run that whole experiment inside a computer system. So that to me is going to be the biggest revolution in medicine, and we at United Therapeutics have used that techniques to figure out exactly what is the best way to modify the pig genome so that the pig's organs won't be rejected by humans. We have now successfully saved the first lives of anybody in history with a genetically modified pig kidney transplant. The patients are walking around. She could not get any human transplant because of her own unique body chemistry. Her body took to the genetically modified pig transplant like a puppy to water and just lapped it right up, and so it works. And now we're developing our next generation medicines for pulmonary fibrosis. We created the whole lung of a pulmonary fibrosis patient inside a computer. Like how you have a 3D visualization, with goggles and whatnot. So we created a lung, all the blood vessels, all the airways, all the little fibrous tissue, all the cells. We made all of that inside the computer system. And then we fire into that digital molecules that each one of them represents a unique shape of a molecule that would be a medicine. And then we found the ones that work best for pulmonary fibrosis, which right now is a disease that has no cure, nothing even to halt it. And based on all of that work, we are now in a phase 3 clinical trials with the actual medicines that I'm crossing everything I have. We'll unblind the data this summer. And if it's successful, it'll be the first medicine ever to actually cure pulmonary fibrosis.
Oh my goodness. We're right there with you. We're crossing everything.
So it goes like bits to biology. And,
wow.
So I just really encourage anybody to, if they are right now thinking of new fields to study, I believe that it's almost impossible to make a bigger impact on the future than in the field of computational biology.
Okay, all right. Well, let's talk about AI, because you were talking about AI, I believe, almost 10 years ago when you were here. And look at us now. And at Northeastern, there's not a day that goes by that we don't talk about AI, right? How are we going to equip our students, our faculty, our staff to actually lean into and work with AI, human in the loop type of thing, right?
Yes.
Not as a replacement. And I know AI is reshaping every single industry, right? And healthcare is no exception. So where do you see the most immediate, tangible benefits of AI in biotech and medicine today?
So there's actually so many, it's really hard to pin down one. I'm very privileged to serve on the board of the Mayo Clinic, and they recently showed us a demonstration where they had a real doctor and a patient went and asked the doctor questions. I think most of our interface with a medical profession is something bothers you in your body and you go to the doctor and you want to ask a question. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to see a doctor. You got to get an appointment. Then you get to that doctor and they send you to another doctor and that doctor sends you to another doctor. And at the end, maybe the doctor doesn't even know. There's an old saying in medicine that you have to visit for 4 different doctors to get one to tell you, give you something that's useful. So what the Mayo has done is they have aggregated all of the knowledge of the Mayo Clinic, which embraces really the entire field of medicine, and they created a digital doppelganger of a doctor, and you can have a male one or a female one. And in the demonstration they showed us, what you thought was a real doctor walked off the screen, and it was actually a digital doppelganger. And then the real, the flesh and blood doctor walked on. They looked exactly the same. And the way they talked, their mannerisms, answering questions, you couldn't tell the difference. There's an old thing in computer AI called the Turing test. Something is conscious if you can't, computer is conscious if you can't tell the difference between a human and it. None of us experts on the board of trustees, and we've got Eric Schmidt on the board of trustees there, couldn't tell the difference. It was done so well. That is the future of AI that I think we are going to be able to live into the 100, 120s, 150s, because everybody is going to be able to have access to the best medical care through the power of AI.
And that's it, right? everybody have access to it?
I'm sure it will. You know, some people say, oh, AI is like only for the rich and powerful, but I think that's almost never the case. My experience has been is that technology is only for the rich and powerful when it doesn't work very well. And once it works really well, technology democratizes like super fast. I mean, let's like take something like flying. Do like only the rich and powerful fly? No. I mean, you know, everybody can fly, and it's come down to be affordable to virtually everybody in the world. Sure. Take like a smartphone with like the latest processor, you know, everybody, there's like most people in the world have access to all the world's knowledge through a phone. So it'll be the same thing with AI. I believe that would you really care if while the doctor was actually figuring out what your problem was and arranging for exactly the right medicine that would fix exactly your problem, or nutritional supplement, or change in your diet, etc., have that sent to your house, would you really care if in the upper right-hand corner of the screen there was an advertisement to attend Emerge Miami 2035? I mean, I wouldn't care. You know, I just want to get well.
That's right. I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, you know, our primary goal in higher education, as you know, is to equip the next generation, right, with the skills to navigate and lead in this AI-driven world that's already happening. So from your perspective, what knowledge and competencies will be the most essential for future leaders in biotech?
That's a deep question, Maria, but I am a huge believer in interdisciplinary knowledge.
100%.
And I will come clean that my undergraduate major was an interdisciplinary major. So I was able to be introduced to social sciences information, engineering sciences, history, art, culture, everything. And I think always in life, the most interesting things occur at the intersections of knowledge. So I would encourage people to make an effort to introduce yourself to all different fields of knowledge. There are humans, we're beautiful people. We've created so much new information in every single field. So I would encourage people first to seek out intersections. If right now you're in biology, go ahead and learn something about art. Learn how to draw. Learn about boundaries and borders. That's where I would encourage people to go with education.
But Martine, let's be honest, you don't like boundaries and borders because you've pushed them all of your life. So
I do believe
I'm going to push back on you
But that's what humans do. Isn't that what we do as people?
It is.
Look at us. Like we started like in tiny tribes. And then we moved to like little kingdoms and whatnot. And then we got into countries. And countless millions of us have crossed oceans and crossed lands. Yeah. In fact, the very word human, it's actually derived from the word to move across the land, humans. So we are boundary pushers. Look at our biology. It's evolved over, you know, literally hundreds of millions of years into all these different shapes and sizes. Even though the pig and the human, we diverged evolutionary-wise 100 million years ago. Nevertheless, the pig's heart and the pig's kidney is exactly the same size as the human heart and kidney. So I wouldn't learn that if I hadn't studied some zoology. So cross boundaries, cross borders, respect everybody, and look for the intersections.
Well, and we're multidimensional beings. We should be well-rounded and not be defined by one or two disciplines. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, you are you are the vanguard. By being a dean of a great university, you are sitting, I agree. You are right at the vanguard, and you are showing people how to develop their mind, which we all know with all the AI that we have at our hands now, and even more and more, all of that AI is really just a human in another form. Where did all the knowledge of AI come from? It came from humans.
From humans.
There is human mental DNA, if you will, in every kind of form of AI. And I think universities are going to become orders of magnitude more important in the future as humans and AI merge.
Well, we are partners for sure in that endeavor. Finally, let's look ahead. And 10 years from now, right? You were here almost 10 years ago, and you will be here 2035. And if I'm lucky enough, I will see you here.
I want you to be the moderator again.
No.
That would be just such a cool reunion.
But 10 years from now, when you reflect back on this conversation and this time that we've had together with our audience, what would you like to see have been accomplished, right, for the betterment of humankind?
Wow. That's like such a...
Dream, because your dreams come true.
Question.
You make them true.
Yeah. So that, in a way, I have to be frank, Maria, that just seems so above my pay grade.
No.
I can't even imagine.
I can't accept
but
that.
But I can say what I would like to accomplish personally over the next 10 years.
Okay.
10 years ago, I was here on the stage through the gracious invitation of Manny, Melissa, and their team. And I said that I believe within 10 years, we will start saving the lives of the first people with genetically modified organs. And I don't think most people in the world didn't believe me. And now we're doing it, okay? And we have FDA approval to conduct clinical trials with hundreds of genetically modified organs. And we've got real people, I've met them, beautiful people whose lives we've saved with them. When I come back 10 years from now, my goal now is to create an unlimited supply of organs that are based on the patient's own DNA. So we're able to use their own stem cells that we help them create in a laboratory. So anybody who gets an organ transplant and can keep on living and living will not have to take any immunosuppression. That's my goal for 10 years from now.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Thank
Martine,
you.
I could be here all day, but we've run out of time. I can't believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, please, Dr. Martine Rothblatt.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much.